Raphael Lavoie claimed by Vegas.
I was waiting for it.
Raphael Lavoie claimed by Vegas.
No.
What? I'm seeing that, right? I'm seeing that. Is that correct, Tom?
It has happened. Raphael Lavoie has been claimed by the Vegas Golden Knights. The Raphael Lavoie era has ended.
Now, what's the deal? He has to stay up on their... They can't send him to the minors, right? If they send him to the minors, Oilers have first crack at him, right? Isn't that how it works?
Yeah, they could claim him back. So for a month, I think you have to stay on the roster for 30 days. Good for him. He's going to get a chance to play for the Vegas Golden Knights and circle the Raphael Lavoie revenge game on the Oilers calendar now.
Oh man, people are going to be fired up about this.
How many texts or how long until we get another mismanaged prospect of the Edmonton Oilers?
Well, I mean, he did have his best preseason. You sent him down, he got claimed.
Yeah, he did.
I got a little bit of time for people who are going to be kind of pissed today. Now, I don't think this is one that eventually bites you in the butt big time, but yeah, wow. I'm a little surprised. All right, let's go. Your reaction, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. If you are watching on YouTube, hammer a thumbs up for us. Chime in over there as well. People are obviously already pretty fired up. We'll get to that. Lots of text messages already rolling in. We'll get to those as well. The Oil Stream today and every day brought to you by our partners over at Boston Pizza, where the kids' cards are back. Get your kid cards online or in restaurant today. Donate $5 and you get 5 free kids meals. So you donate $5 to get the kids card. Your donation will stay in the community, goes directly to a charity chosen by your local Boston Pizza, and you'll get 5 free kids meals just for making the donation. And you can get a digital kids card as well. My kids will definitely have these as and they had Boston Pizza over the weekend. My kids absolutely love Boston Pizza. So we'll get into that.
Very good.
Yeah. All right, Tommy. Well, I mean, should they have not put Raphael Lavoie on waivers?
Hey, he had his best camp, like you said. I'll reiterate it. I second that. He looked good. I don't think if Corey Perry wasn't on the team, maybe you can make a case for Raphael Lavoie. Did he have a better camp than Noah Philp? Maybe. I mean, outside of Philp, he had a pretty good camp.
They both played better than I expected them to.
Yeah, exactly. Did we anticipate him getting plucked? I don't think so, but the Golden Knights see something there. And hey, maybe this was why Lavoie was willing to re-sign with the Oilers, figuring that, hey, go have a good camp, play with house money, and then maybe you get a chance elsewhere because you show training camp and preseason are still a showcase, and guys will get an opportunity, and we're seeing that. So good for Lavoie, and hopefully he plays well in those games. On a personal level, like just for the sake of him trying to make it to the NHL. From an Oilers standpoint, it's a bit of a kick to the you-know-what, but we'll see where this goes.
What is their current cap situation?
The Oilers?
Yeah, I was just looking here.
I'll check it right now.
They have $1.8 million in cap space right now.
Yeah.
So could they not have kept Lavoie on the roster right now instead of put him on waivers? I mean, they could have financially.
Yeah, they could have.
They could have done it, right? Like there was no. Yep. It's not like they have a full roster. They've got 12 forwards on the roster, 7 defense. They have 2 roster spots available, and they could have fit him in one of them financially.
Yep.
Unless I'm missing something, but they sent him down probably thinking they'd sneak him through waivers, and the Golden Knights said nope, no, not today. And they end up claiming him. So I'm just trying to figure out if they were forced to send him down from a cap situation, but it does not appear to be that way, at least of right now.
Yeah. So, we're gonna probably get into some texts that are gonna be very frustrated. I took a peek over at the nasty chat, and I think it was Rob was like, "Look at the nasty chat, Tom," and it's already spicy on them.
Oh, yeah. Nasty chat's moving. Nasty chat's moving. We're going to get into that. Well, that's where we're going to go. If you're watching on YouTube today, hammer the thumbs up for us. Tell your friends about Edmonton Sports Talk. And if you're listening on TuneIn or iHeart or EdmontonSportsTalk.com, feel free to chime in. 780-218-9999. Todd Gag says, guys, he says, it's still about accruing space over time, Dusty. I understand that. But so basically you're saying accruing cap space is more valuable than anything Raphael Lavoie would have ever brought your organization. I mean, that's what's happening here. If they want to accrue the cap space, then they could have kept Raphael Lavoie around. Sure. They did not. Andrew is in and says, Vegas winger depth is not great, so it makes sense that they pick up Raphael Lavoie. He wasn't going to get any ice time here. Best of luck, but I don't think the Oilers will miss him. Rip City Step is in and says, guys, McDavid is the second youngest forward by my eye. Is McDavid the second youngest forward on the Edmonton Oilers right now? I'm trying to think. Yeah, Podkolzin. Podkolzin is younger.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Yes, correct. He is the second youngest. 27 years of age. He is only older than Podkolzin.
Wow.
That's correct. Mm-hmm.
That kind of surprises me a little bit. I didn't think about that.
Ty Emberson's 24, Evan Bouchard's 24, and Travis Dermott is 27 as well. Stu Skinner, 25, by the way. So there's that. Yep. Classic. Well,
they are in win now mode. There's not that they didn't change anything with Lavoie going down on that front, but I understand the frustration that we're seeing from a few people. Pinto Creek says, I'm not sure it's prospect management. They keep bringing veterans to fill holes as their prospects get better. They get claimed, such as life. Hampton Steve is in and says, I would bet all of Dustin's money that Raphael Lavoie will be back in a few weeks and the others will reclaim him and auto send him to Baco. I would think that is probably the likeliest of scenarios, but it's not a sure thing.
Not a sure thing, but look at Yuri Patera. He was backing up for the Canucks last week, gets waived, claimed, gets waived again, claimed again by the Canucks just now. It's just like musical chairs, basically, sometimes with the waiver wire.
All right, let's get into the nasty chat, which is hopping today. Thank you very much for being here. Make sure you stick around. EST afternoons. We'll have more on this with Hernan Salas and Joaquin Gage, and then of course the Reed Wilkins Show from 3 to 6 this afternoon, continuing to get you ready for the Oilers season. We know there's going to be a ton of Edmonton Elks conversation on both of those shows too. That organization officially eliminated from the playoffs. They are narrowing down the search for a president, and I would think we probably see one in the next couple of weeks, or at least by the end of the month.
By the way, Hernan is ready to go Latino Heat this afternoon.
Yeah, he's pretty fired up. He's pretty fired up about the Elks.
He's saucy right now, yeah.
I thought you were going to say Hernan's in the mix for president. That was going to scare me. I was like, we just got him. Well, you can't leave him.
We just got him, but he could do dual role for sure.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is, yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Rob is in and says, guys, does it seem like the Oilers just don't have time right now to let younger players play to gain experience? It's a win now mentality. Tommy, where do you come out on... I mean, I would say that Dallas probably views themselves in a bit of a win now window as well, and they're working three young guys into the mix right now. Three good quality young guys.
Dallas has done a very good job at identifying talent and then making sure that talent gets the proper time and ability to grow and develop. So that is where I think Dallas is one of the teams that probably sets the bar when it comes to finding talent and letting it develop and mature properly 100%. Now, that's a model that the Oilers could look at and try to replicate because, yes, Edmonton, like Dallas, is in win now mode. We just joked about how old the roster is. The other thing, too, is that goes back to you and I talking about how important drafting, developing, how important amateur scouting and pro scouting and then development part of the organization is going to need to rise to the occasion if you want to extend this window to win now. And that means finding good prospects like Sam O'Reilly looks to be. They traded up into the first round for him. That's one guy. Matt Savoy's two. They just lost Lavoie, who I don't know if, is he a prospect anymore, or is he just he's not a non-prospect? He hasn't fallen into that. There is a potential NHL future for him. It's just where was he when it came to being an Oiler? He was kind of in that weird limbo type of spot. But this is where Edmonton needs to get better. But Bo Akey on the back end, he's going back to junior. They have Max Warner, who they're going to need to develop some more. So outside of that, it's just like older AHL vets, and then Matvei Petrov, who had a less than inspiring preseason as well. So
yeah, it looks like he's starting in the American League on the fourth line. So
yeah, that's not good. This was a guy that people were saying around the organization, watch, he's going to be good. He's got so much raw talent. Non-factor in the preseason and training camp, and that's not a good sign. Him and Bourgault really kind of, their trajectory went sideways, and Bourgault becomes Roby Yarventi, who, if people are going, oh yeah, what about him? He's coming off major knee surgery. It's going to take him some time to get up and running again.
I'm just kind of chuckling at one of my own tweets. I just tweeted out Oilers management checking to see if they snuck Josh Brown through waivers, and then seeing Raphael Lavoie was claimed, and I got the Chris Farley gif where he's like,
I've retweeted that.
Yeah, it's I just love anytime you can use that gif and it really hits. And that one really hits. Like that's just
a good one.
That's kind of a good one.
That's the coffee crystals. That's the coffee crystals, and he goes absolutely Hulk.
Yeah. Yeah.
That one.
Oh, that's too good. All right, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. All right, Coach Mike is a lot of people are trying to get in here. Guys, are the cupboards kind of bare now? Organizational depth is lacking. Tommy, you kind of just laid it out. Yeah, they're bare, 100%. But there's a few pieces. There's a few pieces lurking around in there. That's for sure.
Yeah, so there are.
That's something that you can. That's something you can discuss for sure. Rip City Seb says Vegas claiming him is definitely the funniest outcome. It really is. I mean, I don't know if it's a troll job on purpose or what's going on, but yeah.
Well, the Golden Knights.
That's kind of funny.
I don't know. Was it Rob earlier or someone else in the inbox said that the Golden Knights depth is, wing depth is one thing, but depth overall, I think this is the weakest forward group that they've rolled out since year one. And that year one turned out to be a Stanley Cup final appearance. And a lot of guys emerged as legitimate stars. Like Carlson had a monster year. Riley Smith and Jonathan Marchessault with Carlson became a great line. And, they had Alex Tuck, and that's a great depth player, a young Alex Tuck. So you look at the Golden Knights now and you're like, they need to add, and to the point where they're, kind of going through the leftover bin, and that is the waiver wire, and they've added a guy. So they also added Zach Austin Reese too, didn't they?
Vegas, there was two guys they picked up. Was Austin Reese? I thought, was it Columbus or was that him? Was it Vegas?
Or did they release Austin Reese?
Yeah, they brought in Lavoie and one other guy.
Yeah.
Let me just grab it for you. I didn't even remember who the other guy was because I was only there for the Raphael Lavoie news.
Austin Reese did go to Columbus.
Yeah, Columbus claims Austin Reese. Yeah. Vegas claimed Cole Schwint, I believe.
That's right.
And Raphael Lavoie. So
that's right.
There's that.
So maybe Raphael Lavoie ends up on the fourth line right side with the Vegas Golden Knights. And I mean, let's be honest, if he would have made this roster, Dusty, where would he have played?
Well, he wouldn't have been in the top six. We said he's been a little bit of a tweener. He would have been on the fourth line in place of Corey Perry, basically.
Yep, exactly.
I mean, that's something we can look at from an Oilers fan's perspective. Right now, Corey Perry, Raphael Lavoie. I mean, who helps this team win more right now? I mean, there's, I don't know even, I don't know. I mean, I don't think whoever's on the fourth line is going to end up helping them, be the difference anyway, but two completely different players at different stages of their careers and play completely different games. So,
yeah. I always, and I have, and I'll stick with what I've said about Corey Perry. The guy won a Hart Trophy. He's won a Stanley Cup. He's been to the final. That probably gets him the leg up on any guy trying to break into the NHL. Do I love it? No. I think a lot of fans of the team would agree that they don't necessarily love it. Was I surprised by that signing on July 1st? Yep. I thought they were moving on from him, but not the case.
All right, let's dive into the nasty chat here today. Raphael Lavoie claimed off of waivers from the Oilers by the Golden Knights. Jeremy in WSP says, everyone absolutely destroying the Oilers' future depth right now. Zedmo, first Holloway, now Rafi. Joel says, morons. Derek
Why would
says,
Joel ever say that about someone that has the same last name as Joel?
Derek from the Hat says, would have been a nice piece possibly at the deadline. James over on the Nasty Chat says, Ken Holland needs to be purged from the Oilers collective. He's gone. He's not around anymore. This one wouldn't have been on him. Yeah. Guys, I think their biggest failure with Lavoie was when he was up here trying to play him as a fourth liner. But that's the problem, is that I mean, the only scenario I can look at is you're looking at like December, Skinner's not playing well. Maybe call up Raphael Lavoie, give him a shot up there and just see what happens. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't see how else they were going to play him with skilled guys. There's not a spot there really.
And to Lavoie's defense, and nobody's harping on him or anything like that, but when he did finally get called up last year, it was at the worst absolute time. They were in the middle of that crap run at the start of the year when they finally gave him a shot, and he was getting fourth line minutes. So, yeah. And you know what, Dusty? Like, depending on how things go with Lavoie in Vegas, if he does end up back on waivers, and the Oilers could go and be like, you know what, he's familiar to the organization, let's bring him back. We could be talking about him in that scenario, getting a call up due to a poor play or an injury. Never say never. I mean, they're very, very aware of what Raphael Lavoie is and what he can bring to the table. So if it doesn't work out with Vegas, they might claim him back, like 10 teams tend to do in the National Hockey League with players that they have invested time and effort into.
All right, let's see here. James B says, let's cue the hat trick against the Oilers.
November 6th, by the way.
Is that when it is?
Yeah, here.
Oh, that could be a month. That's right within a month. Imagine that. Plays in that game.
Welcome back, Raph.
Plays in that game, gets waived, and rejoins the Oilers the very next day.
And then that's the revenge game against Vegas, his old team.
The other way, flip it around.
Could you imagine?
Easy E says Holloway gone, Lavoie gone, Janmark on the second line. This team is not nearly as good as it was last year. Labamba guy says, would love to be honest, but I'd be banned. Keep it clean, Labamba guy. Thank you very much.
Yes.
I like that one. James says, yeah, if the Oilers could have had a 23-man roster, they would have had room for Raphael Lavoie. Like I said, they got $1.8 million in cap space, but there's obviously some things that they want to get in place to start the season and have that cap space there. So they decided to take a chance, put them on waivers, and see what happens.
Dermott's situation obviously is kind of a TBD, right?
Yeah. Yeah, if he's going to play a game, he'll have to have a contract, but he could continue to skate with the team until like one of those top six guys gets banged up, and then they'll be like, hey, here's your contract, come play.
Yep.
Really. Could do that. Castor 1990 says, I'm not a scout, nor do pretend to be a hockey talent expert like many do. Good for Lavoie. The development wasn't as long as Broberg's, so I'm not that choked. Tradable assets dying up quickly. No Holloway, Broberg, and now Raphael Lavoie.
That's a fair point. I don't know what Lavoie's worth would be if there was a hypothetical trade somewhere down the road. But like if you can trade Borgo and Tullio, you could probably trade a Lavoie. I just don't know like what we perceive him to be valued at compared to what he's actually worth in the eyes of other GMs in the NHL could be two totally different things. But that's still a fair point. Like you just lost a player from your franchise.
Easy adds in, this team was stacked at forward. Now is kind of looking weak. Matthias Janmark is not a top six guy. What's going on with Matthias Janmark in the top six? Are we just talking? Like, was this today at the skate? No. What am I missing? I was doing the lock shop.
So I got to the rink and Janmark was skating on that second line with Arvidsson and Draisaitl.
Where was Skinner?
Talk about this. Skinner was on the third line. He flipped. So he was with Brown and Henrique.
Okay.
We talk about flexibility, especially with the forward unit because of the depth. And I feel that with Skinner having a ho-hum preseason at best. This is kind of like a keeping him accountable type of warning shot. Like, hey, man, get your ass in gear because they're going to need you. And he had a less than desirable preseason and training camp, like many players. And maybe as a veteran, he took it easy and only went 70%, which is possible. But
I'm not going to blame him for that in the preseason, really.
Yeah, so I think this might just be just a little, hey, get your ass in gear, because Matthias Janmark is not the second line left wing solution, as we all know. Maybe tomorrow at practice we'll see a different look, but I just think it's maybe accountability, or and I don't mind it, to be honest with you, because Shoggy said it, and he's right on the mandate this morning. Like, there's nobody pushing. And it goes back to what we've been saying for the first 25 minutes of the show, that the cupboards are pretty bare, and even more so today after this Lavoie claim. So you got to find a way to keep guys on their toes, and it can be veteran guys. And that's how I look at it. Like, maybe it's Chris Knobloch and the coaches trying to make sure that, you're not going to be given a free pass when you half-ass it for the first 2.5 weeks of the season.
So who's next to Draisaitl on opening night?
I think it'll end up being Skinner. I mean, if it's Janmark, you're just like, oh, okay.
Well, look, man, you can't take Skinner away from Draisaitl and Arvidsson without having played a regular season game before. Like, you got to give it a little bit of time. Like, they haven't even taken the ice in a game that means something yet. And I'm not sitting here defending Skinner. Like, Skinner did nothing in the preseason. I get that. But Matthias Janmark did nothing in the preseason either. Let's be honest. Did anybody mention anything about Matthias Janmark in the preseason? That line wasn't the whole playoff. Oh my God, they're going to win a couple of these guys. Like, I don't know. I mean, Skinner's still got to be on that line come opening night, and you got to give it 5, 6, 7 games and see what happens. And Rashad was right today when he talked about, who's gonna play up. I mean, you could move Henrico. I thought the first move here, and I sort of imagined it, if it didn't work, happening, 10, 12, 13 games into the season, where Skinner gets bumped up with McDavid for a bit, and Nuge goes down and plays with Draisaitl, as opposed to Skinner onto a third line with Brown and Adam Henrique. Now, with that being said, for Skinner, you're not playing with two slouches. Like, Adam Henrique's a really good third line center in the National Hockey League, so there's still something there. And at this point, I'm not even sure in the regular season how much you're mixing in Derek Ryan and Corey Perry on the fourth line.
And that's fair. The other thing too, like, that's why I kind of think of it more of a quick wake up call, like just a little, hey, get your ass in gear type of warning shot, if you will, is if you were being serious about getting Skinner off the second line, I think Connor Brown would make more sense, because Brown could go on the right side. Arvidsson could slide over to the left with Draisaitl down the middle. If I was Jeff Skinner and I'm seeing Connor Brown go up there as opposed to Matthias Janmark, that's where I would kind of be like, uh-oh, I might have lost my spot in the top 6. But when it's Matthias Janmark, a guy who I think just got over 10 points last year, I don't think you have to be too concerned.
Oh, maybe they should have given Lavoie the look up there on the left side of Draisaitl, I guess. On the very day you lose a guy who could only really probably ever fit in your top 6, you are playing Matthias Janmark in your top 6. What a weird twist. This is like the Elks having fireworks night on the night they were officially eliminated from the playoffs.
Yes.
That's tough timing on that one as well. 780-218-9999. Hit us up over in the Nasty Chat as well, which is really hopping today. If you're watching over on YouTube today, hammer the thumbs up and turn on autoplay on YouTube, and that'll take you right on over to EST Afternoons. As for this, as we've started this hockey season, we have 2 new programs that launched in early September. Some of you may not know about it yet, but EST Afternoons with Hernan Salas and Joaquin Gage every day from 1 to 3, and then from 3 to 6, the Reed Wilkins Show. Yes, that was the guy from Ched. He's now with us. 3 to 6 with Glue Guy, the birthday boy, riding shotgun.
Birthday boy.
Riding shotgun today. That's what Raider
Happy
Jesse
birthday.
said. Raider Jesse says, we can put Matthias Janmark on the second line, but couldn't once have tried Raphael Lavoie in that spot before losing him? Which is, yeah.
I love it. I love the piss and vinegar is out, and for good reason. There's been so much to bitch about, and I love that it's back.
Oh, it's time, right?
Let's go.
It's time for this. We're locked and loaded. Tommy will have pregame with Hernan Salas on Wednesday. Postgame to follow. It should be a lot of fun, man. I can't wait for the season to get going again. And haven't even dropped the puck yet. We haven't even think about this. We haven't even discussed. We're 32 minutes into the show right now.
Yep.
We haven't even discussed the blue line yet. 2 days before. Think about the blue line. We haven't even discussed it yet.
God.
And we're 2 days before dropping the puck on a banner-raising night in Edmonton. Like, it's not the banner you wanted, but it's a banner. It's a banner,
Western
but not
Conference
the one.
champs, baby. First
not the one that you wanted.
0506.
Yeah. Jerry Mancini says, guys, Matthias Janmark plays on the left wing. Raphael Lavoie doesn't. So I don't think it would have worked for Lavoie moving into Skinner's spot. Oh, God, I am so excited for this season to get going. It's going to be a lot of fun.
All angles, man. All angles. When do we want to talk about the defense?
Well, we're going to get to it, obviously. The Oil Stream is brought to you by Reed Wilkins in the house, everybody. That's a nice professional coat, Reed. I like that coat. Yeah, no, I like that coat. Reed called me earlier today. He goes, hey, Dustin, it's Reed Wilkins, Edmonton Sports Talk.
He does that.
It kills me every single time. Yeah, we'll get to the back end. Okay, let me get to this one first because Brett B's asking, and there's no better person to answer this than the man sitting in that box right next to me here.
Hi there.
What is it with every coach loving Matthias Janmark in the top six? It's fascinating to me.
Well, he was ranked very high in my rankings of importance for multiple years. I just think if I'm honestly answering that, it's probably just that he's very consistent. He's not flashy. He doesn't wow you with his offense. He's just very, very consistent. You know how Brett Kulak doesn't go like this? He doesn't fluctuate. He's just very steady. I think that's Matthias Janmark up front as well. So again, like if it was Connor Brown getting the look there today, I'd be like, okay, if I'm Skinner, I'm worried. But yeah, Janmark, he's been a moonlighter up in the top six. It doesn't go particularly great offensively. I remember they put him on the first line with McDavid for a game last year. I think it was in Vancouver. Awful. No, just a wasted night for McDavid having Janmark there. But he's just kind of that guy. He's just always steady and reliable. And I think that might be why every coach that's had him here in Edmonton's like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to put Matthias Janmark up there because you know what you're going to get. And it isn't going to wow you, but it's very consistent.
Chris G says, guys, so will Raphael Lavoie make Vegas' starting roster this season or play for their AHL team in Henderson? No, once again, sorry, Chris, you must just be joining us. They cannot send him down. He has to be on their roster. What'd you say for a month, Tommy? And if he gets sent back down, then the Oilers have the first right of refusal to bring him back. Yeah. So he might not be done yet. You know what might be happening here? Let me throw a theory out there. They might be. This is a game of chess when the Golden Knights are just playing checkers. They are sending Raphael Lavoie to Vegas as a spy.
Oh.
And he's going to be in the room and he's going to be in the meetings for a month. And then they're going to cut him. They're going to try to send him down. The others are going to reclaim him. And then that's it. It's over. They know everything about that. That's probably what's happening here.
He's the spy. He's going to be the Oilers' mole.
That makes sense. The mole.
Brilliant.
Yeah. I think Lavoie in French means the mole.
Yeah.
So that must be what it is.
Joel can confirm.
That must be what it is. I like this strategy now.
Hypothetical. What if Cole Schwint, of all people, beats him out for that spot on the team? Then what? What say you?
This, you know what? We've had some good days since we launched Edmonton Sports Talk from a viewer and ratings perspective. Oilers being awful, firing poor Woody, going on the run last year, Draisaitl signing. Imagine the day if the Golden Knights send Lavoie down, the Oilers have first right to claim him and don't. people will lose their minds, Tommy. I can't even imagine what that day would be like here. Can you imagine? Oh, Raphael Lavoie goes back and everybody's like, get him back. The mole returns. And then he goes through waivers and somebody else takes him.
Well, somehow there will be someone in oil country blaming the Oilers for Lavoie's lack of success in Vegas. It could happen.
Yeah.
You could see it.
That is true. All right, 780. So, this is a good question, Bones. Bones, nice work. We'll get to it. Podkolzin can push now. And the Oilers replace mid-skill with higher skill in Skinner and Arvidsson. So that's what he thought. It'd be interesting to see, maybe Podkolzin gets a sniff up there at some point. At some point in the season, I'm sure he will. You know how they move guys around.
They move guys.
But you never know.
Bones makes an interesting point. Now, I would ask you, Dusty, and our audience, have you been enticed by Podkolzin's offensive prowess at all in the preseason? He scored that goal. It was a nice tap in. But is there something about Podkolzin's game that you've seen since he's come to the Oilers that you're like, yeah, this guy's got the offensive chops to maybe move up on the lineup? 'Cause I honestly think he's just a fourth liner.
I'm going to be completely honest and just say I didn't watch enough of him in the preseason to accurately answer that question. Because he got the one game up in the top 6, right? And is that the game he scored?
The game he scored, I think.
What was the game he scored?
Tap in, nice play. Someone fed him for just a nice. I want to say it was against Calgary, but I could be wrong.
I think I'm probably a little more positive in what he could bring to the table than you. I still think he could become more than a fourth liner.
I hope so. Watching his preseason, a very small sample size. I readily admit that, but I was just like, oh, okay. He's a big body, skates well, bangs and crashes, but I didn't get the sense in the small sample size, I'll keep that in mind too, that he is offensively dangerous. You know? Same thing we just saw. His offensive game isn't there yet at the National Hockey League level. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Maybe at some point he pops like Jesse Puljujärvi in the preseason this year with Pittsburgh. Maybe that's what happens. And then you've got a good one on your hands. That was a real nice goal. That didn't look like a guy who had confidence problems with the puck anymore. It's a real nice move. Shimmy, shake.
Yeah, a fake shot, fake backhand top, real nice. Real nice.
Tongue out. Very nice goal.
Of course. And he didn't even trip and smash into the boards after either, which is pretty impressive.
That's a good sign.
Yeah. Well, right now I was looking at Daily Faceoff today. They got him on the line with Lars Eller on their third line. So
okay. That's a couple of big body guys.
Yeah. I know he was playing the preseason with the McGroarty a little bit. I don't know where he's slotting in right now, but the doc is in and says, guys, the Stan Bowman era is off to a roaring start. ... Not the doc with a text from the 90s. God, I love a good not. I had to explain the not bit to my kids the other day at dinner. I did it to them and Tammy kind of laughed and they didn't get it. I said, well, it's a funny bit from when we were kind of kids where you'd say something and then you'd wait and then you'd go, not. And so Elizabeth's like, oh, I'm going to do that. I got to start doing that. It's like, okay,
bring
good.
It back.
Yeah, we'll see if you can do that. I'm totally okay with EST being the place that brings back the not bit. Just sporadically every once in a while, and it really hits. So, Doc, I'll say this, buddy. Great text. Shovelhead text in today. It says, guys, I just tuned in. Have you guys fired the coach and GM yet? There's no place on this team for Raphael Lavoie. No room in the top 2 lines. Doesn't skate well enough for the bottom 6. I mean, that would be... The skating thing has always been the one thing when people ask me, they're like, why isn't he there yet? I just don't know if he's got NHL boots to be what you need him to be. We'll see if he gets a little bit of a longer look now.
Yeah, he seemed to move okay
in Vegas.
This training camp.
He did look like he moved a little bit better than when we last saw him in the National Hockey League. I'll give you that. That was preseason against some other guys who might have similar limitations maybe with skating, but I thought it was better. I agree. Yeah. All right, so that's the conversation on the forwards. We'll see where it comes out on Wednesday. I can't. Like Skinner. I don't know if I've watched Skinner enough the last few years to just be like, I'm not sure he's a bottom 6 guy for you. Like, no, I don't know if, like that's why I'm curious about it. Like, I feel like Skinner's got to be a ride or die in the top 6, Tommy, or he's going to very quickly become a non-factor.
Yeah.
And then you're sitting there going, what's happening now?
He's offense, pure offense. He's supposed to finish. And I've said this a few times, and our good buddy Joe DiBiase, WGR 550 in Buffalo, said it when the Oilers signed him. We had him on, and he goes, don't expect him to play a lot of solid defensive hockey, and then B, when he gets offense, he doesn't create the offense, he finishes it. He's a finisher. He's a goal scorer. So he's not going to muck for the puck. He's going to get it and he's going to bury. And he didn't really do that in the preseason, obviously, but that's his game. That's what he's kind of built his career on, is being able to provide offense, but he's a complementary offensive player that, puts himself in the right place at the right time. And that's why the theory that a distributor like a Draisaitl in this case, or a McDavid, should he get on that line at some point, can get him the puck, and he generally capitalizes on those opportunities. But if you're expecting a really sound 200-foot game and for him to be able to create offense, that would be misled in terms of thinking. And then more so just this guy buries and finishes. And,
that's why he's in a perfect spot. He should be with Skinner, or he should be with McDavid or Draisaitl.
Exactly. And that's why I think he will be on Wednesday.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't see. Yeah, Tommy might have the right read on it. A little bit of a wake-up call. But should you not be able to just go to him as Chris Knobloch and say, hey, man, crank it up a notch? Like, why do you have to put him down on the... I don't know. That
Just a quick little, we're watching you. Pick it up. Little...
I just go tell him, hey, dude, start trying harder. Like, I don't know if you just send messages and practice. Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Like, maybe they did. And then they're like, okay, whatever. Put him on third line for now and see what's up. Well,
sometimes, hey, guys, we know people in all different walks of life and in certain situations, personalities, characters, some things make them tick. Like verbal commands make them work. Sometimes they need to receive a lesson, I still think Skinner's going to be a good fit in their top 6. Like, I think he's going to score 20 goals for him in the top 6. He's got two of the greatest playmakers in the game today. Yeah.
And he's a guy who can score goals.
How many guys
he'll be fine.
Can you say had good preseasons on this team?
Brought this up this morning on our show, I think. Like, the bright spot of Oilers camp was a guy who hadn't played hockey in 18 months, almost making the team as a fourth line center. That's it. Like, that's the story. That's the type of preseason it was. There really wasn't any other super duper positive story. So it wasn't a good preseason. Not many guys had very good preseasons. The fact that, and I'm not taking anything away from the Philp story. It's a great story.
Absolutely.
But like, that's the only thing we're really talking about in a positive light right now. So I got to get past this. Preseason's over. Let's see how the regular season starts. I'm telling you right now, if they don't win the home opener, the GCL Diesel post-game show right here in Edmonton Sports Talk is just going to be amazing. And I'm not even talking about the nasty chat going off. I'm talking about old Hernan Salas, who's pacing around over there. Hernan Salas will be ready to go off too, which will be a lot of fun.
He's ready. He's pacing because he's ready for his his Trey Ford rant.
Yeah, he's ready to talk some Elks a little bit later on.
Oh yeah.
EST Afternoons begins in about 15 minutes right here, and only here on Edmonton Sports Talk. If you're watching on YouTube, hammer the thumbs up. We're like 27 away from changing 100 here on the Oil Stream today, which is nice. The Oil Stream is brought to you by Boston Pizza. And kids club cards are available now. You pay $5 for a donation, you get a kids card, and your kid will get 5 kids meals. It's a no-brainer deal. They're basically giving things away. Pinto Creek is in and says, guys, it's practice. We're talking practice. We talking about practice? Yeah, but this is Canada. This is the Oilers. This is Edmonton. And there was a slight change in practice. Of course we're going to talk about practice, Tommy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hook it up to my veins, man. It was noticeable. It was very noticeable. So that's why. And we're talking about it. And you think that the coaches don't know? They know. They know. It'll cause a little stir. I'm sure we're going to hear clips from Chris Knobloch on that change, that little subtle move today. Message? Or is it something that's going to stick? Well, it's probably the message.
Lots of good comments today. Jim Korchinski says, hey, if you've not addressed this, can you explain the Josh Brown signing as Waivers shows it was a mistake?
I'll tell Jim. Hello, Jim, first of all.
I don't think we need to. I mean, we've been talking about this for 2 weeks.
I know. There are those within the organization that still don't understand why they signed him. Like jokes were made in the press box during the preseason. Like why did they bring him in? And I got a lot of shrugs. I got some jokes, and unfortunately, good for Josh Brown to get a contract. I don't understand it, but he did not play well enough to stay up here. And people are talking about him buying a house. Doesn't mean you're staying. Still got to be good. And he was playing for the sixth spot on the back end. 7th. Wasn't good enough. Simple.
I wonder how many guys who went through waivers today have a 3-year contract.
1.
I'm not going to take the time to look. There can't be many. I mean, probably just him.
1. Do you think Cole Schwint had a 3-year deal? Absolutely not.
Probably not. I don't think. Maybe maybe this is another chest checkers thing. They like him, but they were worried if he was on a 1-year deal, somebody would pick him up. So they gave him 3 years to give them 2 years of basically sending this guy up and down. I'm just trying to put positive spins on these things.
Are we living in an alternate universe here? Is this
maybe
the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
All right, Tommy, 49 minutes without talking about the blue line. Really, I'm going to do it right now.
Let's go.
This is throwing a grenade into the mix and then just being like, see you later. I'm going to bring this up, and then we're going to leave, and Hernan and Gage are going to have to deal with all the heat all afternoon leading into the Ree Wilkins show. By the way, EST afternoons with Hernan and Gage will have the next opportunity to qualify for the EST Flyway to LA. We are giving away a trip for 2. All you have to do is listen, text in the keyword December 26th to December 30th. We're going to be sending you to LA. You're going to get Clippers Warriors. You're going to get Rams Cardinals. And of course, you're going to get your favorite club, Edmonton, taking on one of the Kings or the Ducks, depending on the scheduling of that National Football League game. All you have to do is be listening. Is brought to you by 780, and they'll have the next chance to get in on that coming up on EST afternoons. Does the Oilers' entire season hinge on the pairing of Darnell Nurse and Ty Emberson? Go.
No, it does not. It hinges on good team defense, reliable goaltending, and just adequate.
So lame. So lame, Tommy. Such a lame answer, you know?
Well, I mean, I could feed you the meat and be like, yes, this team's going nowhere without defense. Oh my God, they're awful on defense.
I mean, they did allow a lot of goals in the preseason, but
there wasn't a lot to like from their defense, among many other things in the preseason. It is alarming and concerning, absolutely. Half of their blue line should be okay. Slightly more than half could be okay, depending on if Darnell Nurse remembers how to play solid hockey. I mean, the 2 preseason games we saw from Nurse were not particularly good. I have no idea what he was doing in that game against the Canucks, going after Kiefer Sherwood.
There was a message being sent there, didn't he? It just was like straight across, past everybody, boom.
The best was Sherwood laughing at him as soon as he got hit. Not good. That was not a good look for Darnell Nurse. and he's playing catch up. And I know that's not always easy, but he needs to buckle it down. Now, I'll say this. This is a very small silver lining is Ty Emberson, I thought quietly was good in that game against a pretty solid Canucks lineup.
I watched for him mostly in the first, just kind of made sure when he was on there, and I thought he made some good decisions with the puck.
Yeah.
I thought he moved the puck relatively well.
Mop up whatever Darnell was doing too. So that's a tick in the right direction for Ty Emberson. We'll see how it goes.
I will tell you though, if you're going on post game a lot this year, being like Emberson's mopping up things that Nurse like that's
a bad sign.
That's a horrible sign.
Yeah.
For the Oilers this season. I mean, I think if Nurse has a good year, just a good year, I think they win the Stanley Cup. But if he struggles, there's just not a lot there behind him. And God, his play this year is critical to what this team's going to do. Like,
you know what you're getting from Kulak. Kulak's a good third pairing defenseman in the NHL. I think we don't or shouldn't underestimate the value Kulak brings to the table. And then we'll see, like, what will Troy Stetcher be? Will he be reliable everyday defenseman? He's kind of been on some bad teams lately, but I don't know. Is he the ideal guy? Probably not. Do they need to upgrade their defense as we approach the first game of the season? Yep, absolutely. And I think, everybody, including the Oilers, know that. When they do that depends on how good things go to start the year. If it starts poorly, then, that puts the pressure on Stan Bowman and Jeff Jackson to make a deal way sooner than they would want to. But yeah, there weren't a lot of good indicators in the preseason on the back end, and that is concerning. I am just leery of jumping all over the defense until we see them in the regular first 5 games. I'll give them 5 games, and then if they're crap and just like they were in the preseason as a whole, then I'll be like, okay, this is troubles bubbles. But if they're adequate and they get goaltending and the forwards give them a little bit of run support and also help out in their own zone, then I think they're going to be okay to patch it together for the first little bit.
A couple minutes left in the show. Did you end up watching at least episodes 5 and 6 of the Amazon series?
No, I ended up watching like 5 football games yesterday instead.
That's also a good idea. I watched episodes 5 and 6 over the weekend. I don't think I'm going to bother with the first 4. But five was basically exclusively about the Oilers with some Tkachuk mixed in at the end. Mm-hmm. And then episode 6 was about the Stanley Cup final and both sides of it. I liked it. I liked it a lot. Obviously, you see the McDavid clip. You see him crying after game 7. It was, I said this morning, and I had a few people agree with me. Like, I would have preferred just random voice of a voiceover guy and more of the players talking as opposed to cutting to PK Subban and Jackie Redmond and Biz Nasty and Pete Blackburn to like sort of set things up and explain where it was going. That kind of took me out of it a little bit as to what they were trying to get across. And maybe that would have been difficult to do, how much pressure was on him in game 3. I would have rather been like, the pressure on Connor, and then hear Connor talk about it. It was good. It was good, but I'm not like, man, I got to watch these other 4 episodes. No thanks. I checked it out because it was Oilers related, and I'm not watching the rest of it. But those 2 they were good. They were good. I just think there's some things they could have tweaked a little bit. But
that'll be my homework today and tomorrow.
You'll like it. You'll like episodes 5 and 6, buddy. They were good. Yeah. No, it was.
I'll watch tonight, and then I'll watch episode 6 tomorrow, and then I'll give my breakdown. I'm sure. You know what? That sounds very Drive to Survive. Like, how they have Will.
That's kind of what they did there. They had they basically just use like one. Like, it's mostly him. It's mostly Buxton, right? Does that know who it is? And then this one, I was like, who's that? Is that Biz Nasty talking right now? Because they wouldn't. It was, I don't know. It was, that part seemed a little clunky to me.
Okay.
But and I wanted more from Hyman and Draisaitl and McDavid along the way, but it was good. All right, that's going to do it for the oil stream today. We do have EST afternoons coming up. They will have your next chance to get in the mix for that trip to LA. The EST Flyway to LA, presented by 780, is on the way. If you are watching on YouTube, turn on autoplay. That'll take you right on over to the show with Hernan Salas and Joaquin Gage. Reed Wilkins show coming up later on today from 3 to 6 as well. We'll be back with the oil stream again on Wednesday. I will talk to everybody tomorrow morning on the Nielson Show. The oil stream presented to you by Boston Pizza. Get those kids cards right now. It's a great deal. Helps local charities. Very good idea. Talk to you later.